Golic and Smetty here. I got to be a little more careful as I get older, not eating too much blah, 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 blah. Welcome to another edition of Golic and Smetty. Mike Golic Sr. here along with Jess as we get closer and closer to my favorite time of year. Christmas is definitely the Christmas holiday season, Jess, is my favorite time of year. Is it your favorite holiday?
It's actually not my favorite holiday, but it's a top two holiday for me.
So what's your favorite?
I really like Easter.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of my family's Easter. We always have a very good Easter spread. I think part of it though is recency bias because since 2020 and 2021 with COVID, I haven't been able to spend Christmas with my family. So that might be why. But I'm planning on doing it this year, weather permitting. There is a massive Arctic snowstorm coming to most of the country, which, if I were staying here in Miami, I would not have to deal with, and I'm sure you will not have to deal with. But them's the breaks when you're traveling around Christmas time, I guess. So
was your Easter spread better than your Christmas spread? But all pre-COVID. So
our Christmas spread's pretty good. So my family does like the Feast of the Seven Fishes thing. Because my ancestors are Italian, and that's a southern Italy thing. You make 7 different types of fish. Although some of the fish are like not technically fish, they're like mollusks. So I don't know if that counts. But we eat a bunch of seafood. There's always like a million cookies. So it's very good, and I have no complaints about the spread on Christmas Eve. My aunt actually makes this like cream cheese, provolone, basil Christmas tree dip that I look forward to every year. But I don't know, for some reason, Mike, Easter, I just love Easter candy. I think that's really just what it is. Anything shaped like an egg is 10 times more delicious to me.
That's a good point. I do agree with that. Do you think, I haven't looked this stat up, do you think most people celebrate or have their dinner or do more on Christmas Eve than on actual Christmas Day?
Well, I know, so my family does Christmas Eve, and I know, like, if you celebrate, I think it's called Noche Buena. That's what, like, my coworkers in Miami celebrate with their families. They do Christmas Eve. I don't know. I feel like, to me, it seems like it's a 50-50 split, depending on what your family does if you celebrate Christmas. Most people just do one or the other. Not a lot of people do both.
Yeah, we would always go spend Christmas Eve over at our friends, the Perianos. They have 3 kids who all went to the school with our 3 kids and all the same age type thing. They're like a second family to us all. We would go to their house and get absolutely hammered because they only lived. You could basically walk to their house where we were in our neighborhood. But it was always Christmas Eve for us. Now, growing up, it was Christmas Day, but we got to open one present on Christmas Eve before we went to bed. And then all 3 of me and my brother Greg slept in the same room, and Bob was across the hall. And our parents would always say, you can get up early and open your gifts, but all of you have to come in together. You can't do it. If someone wakes up early, they can't just go out and do it by themselves. So me and Greg were in bunk beds, and I was on the top bunk. And like I said, Bob was in the other room. And there was one Christmas where they were up early, Bob and Greg, and I wasn't waking up when they were trying to wake me up. But they knew they couldn't go out there unless we were all awake. So they took off like the wood thing that kind of stops you from rolling off a top bunk, and they rolled me off the top bunk and just let me hit the floor.
Oh, my God.
Knowing full well that would wake me up, which it did, of course.
Well, luckily, I hope one of your Christmas presents was a neck brace.
How about it? I'm like, what the hell?
I didn't grow up with brothers, but that's what I imagine a lot of your familial interactions were like, just constant shenanigans and rolling people off bunk beds and things like that.
Yeah, that's kind of what we did. I have to say, though, I started doing this, with a couple years left on the show. I was doing ESPN because one year I really, really watched it and was kind of disturbed. It was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Oh. Rudolph's father was an asshole. Santa treated Rudolph like shit. It was unbelievable when you really watched that and you're like, wow, they were really mean to him.
I've never even seen that movie. Like, I feel like I might have a little bit of a curmudgeonly Scrooge streak in me because I'm not that amused by Christmas movies.
Really?
Like, there's been, I really like a lot. Most of them don't do it for me. And that might be why Christmas isn't my favorite holiday, because I think a lot of it for people is like the nostalgia of watching, the movies and It's a Wonderful Life. Is that the black and white movie?
That's the black and white. I don't watch that.
My family used to watch that, and I would just be like, I don't want to watch this. This looks so boring. It's about the Great Depression. Watch that one either.
Don't worry, I'm 60 and don't watch it.
Thank you. I appreciate that then. The only Christmas movies I like are any movies are the Muppet movies, the Muppet Christmas specials, the Muppet Christmas Carol. I appreciate and enjoy all things Muppets, but when it comes to like Rudolph or Elf or Home Alone,
no. Wait. Tell me you don't like Elf.
It's not that I don't like it. Like, it's fine. I just don't like... I don't have to watch it every year. Like, I don't have to make Elf references in my life. And if you do, then that's fine. I'm not judging. Right. And same with like National or what's the one, Christmas Vacation? Yeah. With Chevy Chase. Chase. Same thing. I'm like, I get it. Griswold Christmas. I forget what it's called. Whatever. I get it. People love it. Every Christmas you have your thing. You watch it. You make your references. You have your Christmas ornaments with all the... But like, I just am not that into any of it for some reason. I never watched it growing up. I did. My favorite movie growing up actually was a Christmas movie though. And I would watch it year round, and it was The Santa Claus, and I do not know why I like that movie so much, because I think if I watched it now, I would be like, this movie's kind of like, why is Santa dying in Act 1? But I did really like that movie. But other than that, like, I never grew up watching that many Christmas movies.
I think there's actually another Santa Claus coming out.
I think they've already made like 3 of them.
There's another sequel coming out. Did you not even watch A Christmas Story with Ralph and the Red Ryder BB gun? You did not watch that one?
No, I don't know what that one is.
Oh, man. Wow.
That's an older one, though, right?
Yeah, it's definitely an older one. But I mean, it every year, I think on either TNT or TBS, one of the two, it plays as it gets close to Christmas. It plays on a loop for 24 hours continuously.
Oh, God.
So everybody can see it. So those are probably my 2 favorites. Elf, which I love. I love Elf, and Will Ferrell in that movie is phenomenal. And A Christmas Story are probably the 2 that I watch. Yeah, it's easily there was nothing like when the kids were young, seeing them come out and look at presents and just that wide-eyed, kind of joy. It was always a really, really, really cool thing. But I know it's coming up. Hope everybody is prepared for it. Obviously, there's a ton of sports that play. We'll get to the NFL. This year, there's 3 NFL games on Christmas Day, along with the 3 NBA games that are always on Christmas Day. So that'll be interesting. I'm actually calling the last one, Tampa Bay at Arizona, here in Arizona on Christmas night. But we got to start, Jess, with the World Cup. I mean, now, as I've said, and I think you were the same, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I didn't watch as much of it as I normally do because of the timing. It's normally in the summer. Like next year with the women, it'll be in the summer. And plus, our women are great and men not so much. But, the men made it to the knockout, lose to the Netherlands, so they're done. But everybody looking forward to it because they're a very young team. But once we got out of that and they were out of it, I didn't watch much. But I knew I was going to watch the finals. And, oh, my gosh, what a finals we got with Argentina and France.
It was amazing. It was, and I've heard people say this, and I don't disagree. I think it was one of the best sporting events I have ever watched in my life. Like, it was that exciting. And for the first, I would say for the middle, 50 minutes, it wasn't. It was actually kind of boring. I was starting to fall asleep. It was early on Sunday morning. I like to take a nap on Sundays, and I thought this is a good time to get my nap in before the NFL games start. Argentina's up 2-0. The game's going to be over in 20 minutes, and then I'll wake up, watch the celebration. It'll be great Sunday morning. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Mbappe scores 2 goals in the 80th and 81st minute to tie it. The game goes into overtime. There's 2 more goals in overtime, and then PKs, which is such a devastating way to lose a World Cup, but such an exhilarating way to win a World Cup. And I could not have been more entertained and excited and thrilled watching that game. It was just awesome.
I mean, I'm with you because and this is where I would obviously defer to, big time hardcore soccer fans on if it was the greatest final of all time or just the greatest ending. Because Mbappe didn't score till the 80th minute, right? 81st and 82nd minute.
He had a penalty kick in the 80th, and then he scored in the 81st,
right.
which was an incredible goal. Like, it
was
so cool.
Phenomenal. But like to your point, Argentina's up 2-0 at that point, and you think, well, this is over. It's just a matter of running the timeout. And then in the 80th, starting, into the 80th minute, we get what we got then to go to the overtime before the penalty kicks. That's always been something I discussed a lot between penalty kicks and in hockey, the shootout.
Yeah.
I was always one, Jess, that wanted the game to end by playing the game you're playing, right? By just continuing to play. But on the other side of that, the PK kicks and the shootout in hockey, it's so damn exciting. Yeah. Now, I sit there and look in soccer, though, and think, I don't know what the percentage would be on the disadvantage the goalie has in a penalty kicks, and that's what kind of makes it kind of a bummer for me. Like most times you're going to make the shots, right? I know there was a couple of saves here, obviously, with Argentina, but I mean it's just a matter of a lot of it is a matter of leaning the right way, right? Making your move when you're kicked and just diving the right way.
It's really hard for a keeper because you have to guess basically before the ball is kicked. And even if you guess correctly, the ball can still go high, it can go low, you can get a finger on it, it still goes in. It's incredibly difficult for keepers. But also, I think if you're the person taking the penalty kick, instead of it becoming, just a game of passing, of moving, of taking shots, of being in the right position, of all these other things that it takes to be good at soccer, like the mental toll of kicking one of those PKs when millions of people are watching and you're the only one on the field with the ball, like that is the difficult part. That is what makes it so hard, and why I think some people think that it's unfair, because you're not playing, like you said, you're not playing the game the same way that you're playing the game with those 90 minutes and then in overtime. It's basically an entirely new skill set. You're kicking the ball from a standstill, one-on-one with the keeper. So it is pretty crazy that it came down to PKs, but I don't really know what other method of tie breaking I would prefer, because you don't want to watch them play another full overtime period. Players get gassed. It's really then eventually you might have to take your best players off because of there's not like a perfect way to do it. I've seen people suggest doing golden goal, which is I think what they used to do to determine overtime, which is, I don't hate that idea, because if they did golden goal in this game, Argentina scored first in overtime, I believe. So it would have been
over. Yeah.
It would have been over. I don't mind that idea, but then you can still go scoreless in overtime, and you need a tiebreaker.
It could still last a long time. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's tricky. I don't think there's a perfect solution, but from a spectator standpoint, I love watching PKs. I think it's the most exciting. I mean, I think penalty shootouts in hockey are sort of similar, but I think soccer is like just, it's so easy to see and to watch. Whereas in hockey, sometimes you lose the puck when it's going past the keeper and the goalie, and it's not as, I mean, I've seen some hockey players do some crazy shit in shootouts, but I think soccer to me is just, maybe it's just because I grew up playing soccer. There's nothing like it. I think it's crazy. It's fun. As a player, I fucking hated penalty kicks.
I bet. You're just standing there now, right?
Yeah. And I never played at like an elite level either, but it's mentally terrifying. Yeah.
I think I would kind of go with the golden goal. I kind of like that. That way this would have ended with them playing soccer, right? Because I get it. Do you play golden goal? Do you play for one period and then go to PKs? Or like now they just play a period, and that's why, both teams got a goal and it still went to PKs. But I'm with you. Once you start watching the penalty kicks, the worst, I think, listen, it's tough to blame a goalie, right? It's really tough to blame a goalie. But, man, there was the one player from France who missed the goal completely. That's got to be the worst. I mean, you have to at least put it between the pipes, right?
I mean, that's nerves, though. Like, if you sail it over the crossbar, that's just like you're nervous and you hit the ball too hard or at the wrong angle because you were overthinking it. You were trying to, especially like if you're trying to take a shot in like the upper 90, like right, like the top corners.
Right.
That's really hard to do, and I think, I mean, from my brief soccer playing experience, which compares like 0% to what any of these players have done, it's easier just to keep it on the ground and go to the side net. But then the goalie might psych you out. So like it's really mentally terrifying to take one of these.
It's got to be so many little things, because obviously you do your homework. The goalie knows the players that are kicking, and you try and learn their tendencies. I mean, it's not just a freaking free-for-all at that level. I mean, there's obviously some game planning and stuff at that point. But it was so exciting that it even got to that point with Argentina being up 2-0. I thought, this thing is over. But it was fun. It was fun to watch. I enjoyed it. I'm still stunned. They've got to be maybe it's you would know better than I. The top F1 guys, I don't think they're making the money the top soccer players. And listen, it's all great money. I think Lewis Hamilton, I got an extension. He's making like $70 million a year or something like that.
I think it's like 60. Yeah, it's a lot.
And is Mbappe the highest? I'm looking at one of the lists. I'm not sure when this list came out, but he was the top of, and it was like 110 mil on the pitch and 18 off. So he's made 128 million.
I think he makes something around that. It's crazy. I mean, Mbappe like literally kept France in this game by himself. Like he played so well, and he's so young. He's only 23 years old. He's already won a World Cup 4 years ago in the last cycle. But I think obviously like the biggest storyline is Lionel Messi winning the World Cup finally after all the pressure he's been under to do it for Argentina. And he's been successful in his club, but never been able to do it for Argentina. And I saw today, Mike, you'll appreciate this. He posted to his Instagram a picture holding the World Cup trophy, and it became the most liked picture ever on Instagram. Do you know what the most liked picture on Instagram was before his post today?
Wow, that is a great question. What was it?
It was a picture of an egg.
What?
It was
what
a picture of
an egg?
It was just an egg. Yeah.
A regular egg.
Just an egg. Yeah.
So that really kind of defeats the fact that Messi's picture was the greatest of all time, because he beat the picture of an egg. Where are we in society when an egg before this was the picture most looked at?
Do you not? I'm assuming you don't remember the egg, right?
No.
Okay, I'm just speaking like a foreign language to you right now.
No idea.
The egg got 57 million likes on Twitter. It was an egg, and this was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember when. It was an egg that someone posted on Instagram, and it was called World Record Egg. And so everyone was reposting this egg, and it was trying to set the world record for most liked Instagram. And I think at the time, Kylie Jenner had the record for 18 million likes. So someone posted this egg, and it just went like super viral and became the most liked picture ever on Instagram. And it's just a picture of an egg.
Okay, so you now I'll be the old curmudgeon. That's bullshit and shouldn't count.
Why?
Because that's what you're trying to achieve. You know what? The whole goal of the picture of the egg, and again, you tell me where I'm wrong, was to let's make this the most downloaded picture of all time.
Most liked,
Most liked, whatever. Where the Kylie Jenner her intent wasn't to be the most liked picture. Lionel Messi's intent wasn't to be the most liked picture, but it was. The egg was trying to be the most downloaded picture. So to me, that's bullshit, and I would never recognize that as the top.
So you have your own personal record book like Stu Gatz for most liked Instagram pictures, and if it's an egg, it doesn't count. That's ridiculous.
No. Not that it's an egg, but the whole idea behind it was to, hey, let's make this the most liked picture on Instagram. That was the goal of it. And people that are posting, they want to have it, some likes on it, but they don't go in with the goal. Do we think that was Kylie Jenner's goal? She's just unbelievably popular. It has millions upon millions of followers. Certainly, do you think the picture of Lionel Messi that they were saying, man, let's if they were to say on there, come on, gang, let's make this the most liked picture of all time. They didn't have to. It was a cool picture and it became the most liked. They didn't have to beg for fucking likes like they did for the egg. That really pisses me off.
I love how mad you're getting about the egg. You're arguing, though, that intent matters if you're trying to get a world record for something, or is it just Instagram likes?
Yes, it matters. I mean, who cares about a picture of an egg? The only reason it became
57 million people cared enough to go like it.
No. It wasn't the egg. It could have been a picture of a turd. And people could have said, let's make this the most liked Instagram picture of all time. So it didn't matter that it was an egg. It could have been any inanimate object that that people all of a sudden wanted to make the most liked. I would rather it be organic. Someone puts up a cool picture and it becomes the most liked picture of all time instead of, hey, let's set a record here with a fucking egg. I mean, it's ridiculous. Do you not see that at all?
The egg might be organic. It doesn't say whether or not it's organic.
Oh my God.
I think what you need to do is post a picture of a turd and let's see if we can get 57 million likes out of that.
Say, I want to make this the most liked picture of all time, gang. Let's go. Yeah. Oh my God. Wow. I honestly...
I take it you haven't liked the egg picture because it's not too late. You can go like it. We can win back most liked picture from Messi now with the egg.
I will. There is nothing that would make me hit the like, however, liking a picture of the egg because that's what people want. Never.
Wow,
Never. So congrats to Lionel Messi for now becoming the most liked picture. That's very cool. He's one. This article was from October of 22. He supposedly made $65 million on the field and $55 million off. I mean, that's amazing.
It pays to be the best soccer player in the world, I guess.
Think about what those teams just have to be making, right? In advertising and everything.
Yeah.
To be able to pay the players what they're paying them. It's incredible. And I don't know the paying system of soccer.
Or not. I feel like some of the clubs are like not financially stable because they're paying these contracts. But I'm not an expert on that. But it is a crap ton of money.
God, it's unbelievable. Man. Played the wrong sport. That's a game I never could have played, though. Well, I guess maybe if I was a goalie.
How tall are you? Like 6'5"?
I'm 6'5", yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Was it the Argentinian goalie who was 6'8"? I know there was a 6'8" goalie out there. I don't know if it was him or not.
I don't think it was him. Emiliano Martinez was the Argentina keeper.
Oh, okay.
Who then went viral after the game for that, I guess, inappropriate gesture with the trophy. I don't know if you saw that, but that's a whole other side note to all of this that was all over the internet. If he posted that on Instagram and instead of the trophy it was an egg, I bet that would be the most liked picture.
Well, give him time. Maybe he will.
If he takes my advice.
Yeah. So that was cool. So the World Cup is over, and now we wait for the next summer, right? For the women. And where is it, the women's?
It's forgot. In Australia and New Zealand, and it's for the most part going to be time zone wise watchable. There are a couple games that are going to be really early in the morning if you're on the East Coast, but probably decent if you're on the West Coast. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be really fun. And then the next Men's World Cup is back in North America in the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. Right. So the U.S. men's national team automatically qualifies, which is great. So we don't have to worry about that for the next cycle for the men.
And I'll still go on the words when we had Eric Winald on as a guest. He said that could be when this team could peak because of how young they were now and where they'll be in 26. So let's hope. Let's hope. But
and you know what, Mike? Even if they peak and that means getting like to the same round or maybe one round farther, like that's pretty good because Argentina and France, I mean, really, really good soccer teams. Like, holy crap. I was super impressed with the quality of play from them in the final. I mean, France obviously didn't do much for the first half, first 70 minutes, but once they turned it on, like, it was really, really impressive and fun. And then suddenly at 1 p.m., Fox said, all right, soccer fans, get your asses over to FS1 if you want to see Lionel Messi lift the World Cup trophy because it's time for Jacksonville, Dallas. So
you knew that wasn't going to happen, right? well, I mean, that was the thought. What was going to happen if the game actually bled over to after 1 o'clock? Would they have moved that to FS1?
I tried to turn on FS1 after Fox switched to NFL, and my app crashed. So That would have been a disaster. I would have
Yeah.
been pissed if I didn't get to watch. I know Telemundo also had the game on with Spanish language viewers, but I unfortunately just went straight to Sunday Ticket and watched Red Zone for the next 8 hours and didn't see any of the trophy ceremony. So I missed out on that, but that's all right because obviously in this country, the main thing we do on Sundays is watch the NFL.
Oh, it's exactly right. I would imagine everybody hit Red Zone at that point. I mean, unless you had the true big-time soccer fans who wanted to see it. And then how about, it was amazing. What should have been, they should have taken it still. I'm sure there is a still shot for Instagram, the most liked picture in Argentina. Oh my God, the crowds, the partying that went on was unbelievable.
I remember, I don't know if you remember when the Cubs won the World Series in 2016
Yep.
and they had the parade, and I got like a ESPN push alert that was like, the Cubs parade is the most attended event in human history or something like that. And I remember like getting the push notification being like, how is that even, like, how are we measuring this statistic?
Yeah.
This doesn't really make any sense. But I was watching this Argentina parade and I was like, that's the most people I've ever seen in one place.
Unreal.
It's crazy. I saw someone tweet this, but like, it made me think of this too, because when I used to live in New York City, people would always ask like, oh, are you going to go to Times Square for New Year's Eve? And I would say like, absolutely the hell not. You would not catch me dead anywhere near Times Square on any day of the year, especially New Year's Eve, because you have to stand there for like 8 hours and like pee in your pants if you need to use the bathroom.
Yep.
And I was thinking this, I saw someone tweet this, like if you're in that throng of however many thousands of people and you suddenly have to use the restroom, like you're just shit out of luck.
Yeah, you better wear Depends or something and just pee your pants. All right, so that brings me to a funny story from Notre Dame about a crowd and peeing. So we were in this bar that no longer exists at Notre Dame. It was kind of our bar. It's called Corby's. There's still the Corby's there.
I've been to the Corby's downtown, but
okay,
it's a different Corby's.
This is not it. This is a different Corby's that you could walk to from campus.
Okay.
We had a place called 5 Points that you could walk to the bar, so we never had to take cabs downtown or anything. So it worked out pretty good. So there was a place called Corby's, and it was really right next to another bar called Bridget's. So here's a little quick ancillary thing. Bridget's, when it was getting ready to close at like 2 or 3. There would be a vendor that would come and be behind Bridget's, and he would sell cheese popcorn, and not like the made cheese popcorn. It would be regular popcorn, and he'd have cheese, and he would drip it over the top. Imagine being hammered, being hungry, and watching this dude drip melted cheese over the top of popcorn.
I've never even heard of that.
Oh, it was, we destroyed it. That dude's got to be in a mansion somewhere today because, we all were buying that shit.
Why didn't he patent that? And like,
I don't know. It was so good.
Wow. Okay.
All right, so back across the street at Corby's, it was a smaller place, and they had a pool table in there that once it got to like 10 o'clock or midnight or something, they put a big piece of wood on it. People would then stand on it and use that as another place to hang out because the place got so crowded. So we're over by the bar, me and a couple other ball players, and it is shoulder to shoulder packed like this Times Square pack, because that's what made me think of it. And one of the ball players I'm with goes, I got to pee so bad. Again, to try and get there would take more time, than you would have before you had to pee. So we're kind of by the bar, and some people are sitting at the bar, and of course there's a girl sitting in front of us, and she has her purse draped over the arm of it.
He peed in the purse, didn't he?
He peed in the purse.
This is
her
exactly.
Purse was open, and he peed. A drinking pee. So a pee lasted, a long time. So I'm sure it was good and frothy inside the purse. I
horrible.
know. I was dying laughing so hard and just trying to imagine later that night what that was going to be like for that young lady. Obviously stupid college shit, but at the time, oh my God, was it funny.
That could have been my mom, Mike. This is exactly how I picture the 80s, by the way. Like when people are like, oh, I wish I was born in this decade or that decade. I'm like, you know what? No. I'm sure it still happens today.
You don't think your age people did any stupid shit like that?
No, because we had porta potties in the alleyway behind Corby's.
We had porta potties too. We just couldn't get to them. You're telling me that your generation hasn't done anything equally as stupid as something like that?
They have. I've met your son.
All right, there you go. That's exactly right. Good point. Yeah. Not sure if you've ever been to the condo parties that the kids all lived in when you were there. There was some stupid shit that went on there.
I don't think I ever was, and I'm glad, and I'm a better person for it.
Yeah, you're definitely a better person for that. Yeah, when a couple of players bought it, it's an Airbnb now. I thought we had to clean it up. I thought we should just bleach it and burn it.
Yeah, just set it on fire.
Yeah.
Oh, probably fair.
You know what? When you sat there and just said it could have been your mom's purse, now I feel bad. Because you're right.
I know. I'm gonna go home for Christmas now and ask her.
Yeah.
If she ever went to Old Corby's, I'll ask her about the popcorn too. Maybe she's tried it.
Yeah. You need to ask him about that. The popcorn too. Wow. God, such nice memories. Oh, okay. All right. So let's move on to the NFL. So everybody is asking now in the Patriots-Raiders game, was that the best finished / worst finished we have ever seen in the NFL to that game? For people that don't know, it was tied at 24. The Patriots tried a running play as the clock was running out. The running back was getting nowhere near the end zone. The clock was on all zeros, and he turned around and started pitch the ball back. And then another player pitched the ball back, to which Chandler Jones intercepted it, ran over Mac Jones, and ran in for a touchdown. And the Raiders won that game 30-24. Again, conventional wisdom says, why throw it anywhere? You're going to overtime. You know, you're still in the game. What are you doing? So what was your reaction when you saw that?
It was, I mean, I've heard people say funniest, stupidest, like best ending ever. I think most unexpected from a Bill Belichick coached football team, because I would not have wanted to be within a 50-mile radius of that man after the way that game ended, especially because this game had legitimate playoff implications. You know, it's December. The Patriots had a chance to go up 8-6 in the division. It's a close division right now with the Dolphins. I would not want to be anywhere near him afterwards. I don't know what I get a player being in the heat of the moment and thinking, oh, okay, it got laterally passed back to me. I have to make a play now. I'm about to get tackled, and not remembering like the game situation. But when you see Mac Jones back there and you think he's open, what do you think he's going to do if he actually does catch the ball? Because I've seen that guy run. I don't think that was a really clear-headed play to make, obviously. So, yeah, I think it was totally unexpected. I mean, I think the Raiders players were like, what just happened? What, like...
Well, yeah, I mean, and listen, once you start doing that, you don't even realize who you're throwing it to, because the ball has ended up in offensive lineman's hands.
You just see a helmet or you see a jersey. So you're not like, oh, it's Mac Jones.
In all honesty, while it was Jacoby Myers who threw the ball, tried to throw it to Mac Jones, to which Chandler Jones intercepted it, Ramondre Stevenson is the one who started this. He was the one running with the ball.
Right.
Again, the clock hit zero. He was nowhere near the end zone. There is no way he should have started pitching that ball. I mean, it all started with him. So a lot of people around Jacoby Myers were trying to make that play. He never should have had the ball in his hands in the first place. And you're right. This goes to a Bill Belichick coach team of, this is something in Little League, you try and when I coach my kids in Little League, you try and teach them in whatever sport, know the situation, know the time. Right. If the ball comes to you, what are you going to do with it? And I don't know what was said in the huddle. I mean, was it said in the huddle before this game, start flipping the ball around? I can't imagine it was. Right. I can't imagine. That would make no sense to even say. So you got to think Ramondre Stevenson did it on his own, which was the first mistake that was made here.
Yeah, when you see this happen, you think like, okay, maybe this team is going for like a planned hook and ladder type thing, because Mac Jones doesn't have the arm strength to throw the Hail Mary. But no, it looked like it was totally unplanned, like you said. Like when I saw the end of the highlight on Red Zone, and then that was my first thought, was like, oh, they were trying to do some sort of like lateral pass play to get to the end zone. But first of all, like, why would you do that in regulation? Just go to overtime. And second of all, that wasn't even what was going on. This was just a bizarre end of a game, and Bill Belichick, I'm sure, is not a very happy camper. Although he might be so good at like burying his emotions deep inside of him that he's already on, the next week's game plan, and as soon as something like that happens, he doesn't think about it anymore, or he's going to cut all these players as soon as their last playoff game or regular season game ends. It's one of the two, maybe both.
But they're sitting there right in there with a fight in the playoffs, for the 3 wild card spots. Obviously, Miami is right there. The Baltimore Ravens are there with 5 losses. Miami with 6 losses. Then you have 7-loss Patriots, 7-loss Jets. You do have a 6-loss Chargers. So right now, New England, because of that, on the outside looking in, just a wild play. But what a great few games. The Saturday slate this was right before my game. I was calling the Browns and the Ravens. So they're all on NFL Network, and they're also all on Westwood One Radio. So when I'm in the booth getting ready for this game, we're watching this game, through its entirety, and all of a sudden you start to see Minnesota come back on the Colts, and you're like, no, the Colts are up 33-0 at halftime, and all of a sudden you see 33 then 16, and then they're getting closer and closer, and you're like, no way this is happening. And for those who may be wondering, you have to go back to the 92 season. The wild card game was in 93. It was in January of 93. 92 season. Houston against Buffalo. Frank Reich was the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills and led the greatest comeback of all time at that point. The score was 35-3, so it was a 32-point advantage that Frank Reich brought them back from to win the game. So this one beat it by 1 point at 33 points. But I can't imagine even both sides of it, especially the side of the Colts, when it looks like they're having an easy win and we're all questioning Minnesota again. Like Minnesota, usually they're behind Green Bay anyway, but now they're winning the division. But a lot of times they play just good enough not to be great and just bad enough not to suck. And you're like, here they go. They lose to the Lions. They're losing here 33-0. And then they make this unbelievable comeback. I don't know if I expect much out of them in the playoffs, Jess. I just don't think I do. But, what an incredible feeling that has to be. And even though it's a short plane ride from Minnesota back to Indy, that's going to feel like a 10-day ride for those guys.
I don't know about you, but I feel really bad for Matt Ryan. And, you have to put some of this on him, obviously. He's a starting quarterback for the Colts. And if they get even, one more first down in the second half, maybe they don't lose. Maybe it's a close comeback, but they still win the game. Certainly if they score a touchdown and one of those drives, things would have fared better for them. But while he's watching the Colts defense out on the field, and Minnesota just being able to score touchdown after touchdown in the second half, that's got to be the worst, the worst feeling in the world. And now he has been part of, he's the only quarterback, I should say, to lose twice when leading by 25 more points. This is obviously it won't sting as bad as the Super Bowl loss to the Patriots, which obviously everyone remembers, but it is almost so improbable. It's crazy to me. I feel bad. I just legitimately feel bad for him. I am also very soft, but if I put myself in his cleats for a second, that's got to be the worst feeling in the world to be attached to that record.
Horrible. Just so I feel bad for guys that get hurt. I don't really feel bad for guys. And I know Matt Ryan. Matt's a great guy.
Yeah, he's been on the show.
Yes, he has. My wife played producer on that one and getting him on that. And it's 14 touchdowns from this year, 13 interceptions, lost fumbles as well. It's been a tough ride for a team that's going to have some high turnover last year. So that was a great game. And then there was my game. It was the Browns against Baltimore, and the Browns win that game. And then it goes to the game everybody was waiting for, Miami going up to Buffalo. And there was no snow going on until the fourth quarter, and it turned into an unbelievable snow game. And the Bills win it on a last-second field goal. And remember, Miami beat Buffalo early in the year, but that turned out to be a heck of a game. For those that, if anybody was still questioning Miami, I think they answered a lot of questions here, being in this game, winning this game. They do end up losing the game, but I mean they're going toe to toe with who many think is a team that's one of the top, if not the best, in the AFC. I guess we can't really say we're going to say Kansas City's the top there.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've probably talked too much about the Dolphins this year being on the Levitard show, but I think if you're a Dolphins fan, maybe you're feeling optimistic because they were obviously toe-to-toe with the Bills on the road in the bad weather. Tua played pretty well. They were just, a few plays short of winning a game. At the same time, they've now lost 3 in a row against legitimate playoff teams.
Right.
They had the road trip out to 49ers and Chargers. They lost both of those games. Tua played pretty poorly in the Chargers game.
He did.
So
I called that game. Yeah, he was really off in that game. Yeah.
So maybe you're a little optimistic because you might see the Bills again. So that's a team you can play toe-to-toe with. But at the same time, maybe you're a little bit like, how many great teams have the Dolphins beat this season? A handful, maybe fewer. But, that's maybe still a decent season if you're the Dolphins. I don't know if you still expect to make a deep playoff run, but it's certainly better than last year and how the franchise has been doing the last I don't know how many years, but
yeah
I don't know.
I'm with you.
It's an interesting stretch for them.
I don't see them making a deep run this year because Buffalo right now holds the number 1 seed. They have the same record as Kansas City, but Buffalo beat Kansas City in the regular season, both with 3 losses. I think Cincinnati is doing what they did last year. They're peaking at the right time. Started out a little rough against Tampa Bay and then just boat raced them. So I think they're kind of hitting their stride. I watched Baltimore lose to Cleveland, and it's just tough without Lamar Jackson. Tyler Huntley I think is a good quarterback, but if this team who would like to run the ball, if this team needs to throw the ball to win, it's going to be a struggle for them. And whenever Lamar's not in there, it's 6 points less and 60 rushing yards less that they average when he's not playing because of what he brings. So I think all eyes are on that. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win that division. I think Cincinnati's above them now to stay. But that could be a little worrisome there. It seems like, everybody's kind of staring at Kansas City and Buffalo again. If it's not Kansas City or Buffalo, which team do you think has the best chance to crash the party?
Gosh.
I'm just saying because they're the number 1. I'm going to say it's Cincinnati because I think
you have to pick Cincinnati. I don't know. I mean, Ryan Tannehill got hurt this weekend. Maybe you can make an argument for the Titans if he's healthier. I mean, they certainly aren't a great team, but I'm just trying to think of who else is like kind of in the playoff picture there. It's probably Cincinnati. I think the Bills-Cincinnati game on January 2nd, I believe, is going to be really interesting in terms of kind of figuring that one out. But certainly the AFC has not been as top-heavy, I think, as we thought it would be. And I think the Chiefs and the Bills have kind of set themselves apart. So that's kind of difficult to say.
You're right. That'll be a big game, January 2nd. That's a good point. That'll be a big game.
I'm excited for that one.
I still think Cincinnati may end up being back there again because I do think they're peaking at the right time. In the NFC, I mean, Philadelphia just keeps rolling. I mean, now Chicago gave them a bit of a game here. But we've seen that, and we've seen the Cowboys, give shit up. They almost lose to Houston, and then they lose this past week in overtime to Jacksonville. I love the fact now, Jess, in all honesty, that Jacksonville and Detroit, they could still make the playoffs. I mean, to me, I'm such a Dan Campbell fan, and I think anybody who doesn't have a horse in the race, a lot of it because they saw him on Hard Knocks, is a Dan Campbell and Detroit fan. Yeah. And how can you not root for Jacksonville for all the muck and mire they've been in, especially last year with Urban Meyer's coach, of just the turnaround that this team's had.
Yeah, I mean, from like an emotional fan perspective, I've always been a big fan of Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he obviously played at Clemson and did very well there, won a national championship there as a freshman. He was pretty much anointed as the first overall pick whenever he'd enter the draft from the minute he started playing. Honestly, from when his high school recruitment started, because people at Clemson were talking about him years before he even officially enrolled at the school. Like, he was a big recruit. He lived up to the hype there. I mean, he didn't win the Heisman because there were other really talented players, right, like Joe Burrow playing at the same time as him. But he lived up to the hype. He got drafted first overall, and then Urban Meyer was his head coach for his rookie season. And I think that has proven to be a bigger hurdle that he has had to overcome than maybe even like the most, the biggest Urban Meyer detractors had even anticipated, because you're like you said, I mean, he's just been playing super well. So I've always rooted for him. I think, he's someone that deserves to be like this. I think we can treat as maybe his true rookie season. He's made some mistakes, yes, but I think he's also shown why he was drafted so high and why he had so much hype behind him. I think he's a really good quarterback, and I hope that he's able to play that way and like prove that to people. But I think it's fun when you see teams like Detroit and Jacksonville. I mean, Jacksonville was in the AFC Championship less than 5 years ago, right? This isn't like the first time this has ever happened. They're 500 right now, right? But it's fun seeing teams like that make it, because for so long it was like, okay, the Patriots again. All right. It's still the Patriots. All right, it's Patriots in Seattle again. But it's fun seeing Detroit, who has probably historically been the worst NFL franchise, have a little bit of juice and excitement and have such an exciting offense. It's hard not to root for the underdogs in those situations. So I don't know. Another thing, if you're kind of more casual of a fan to get behind, is that team and that organization and Dan Campbell, like you said.
Oh, I think it's just so cool. So real quick before we finish up on what Notre Dame haters probably won't want us finishing up on, but tough. In the AFC, the top 4 seeds, Buffalo, Kansas City, Cincinnati, and Tennessee, they're all the division leaders. Then Baltimore sitting in the 5 slot, Chargers in the 6 slot, and the Dolphins are the last team in right now at 8-6. Right behind them is New England and the Jets at 7-7, so a battle there. In the NFC, Philly clearly away at number 1. Then Minnesota is number 2. San Francisco is number 3, and Tampa Bay is the 4 seed, because they could be a division champ. They're 6-8 right now. And then Dallas is 5, New York is 6, and Washington is 7. So the entire NFC East is in the playoffs. And the amazing thing is, and people will all lose their mind and they'll want to change the playoff format, is the number 1 seed is off. It gets a bye. So then it's 2 against 7, 3 against 6, 4 against 5, which would mean the Dallas Cowboys are 4 games better than Tampa Bay, and they would have to travel to Tampa Bay. So everybody's going to lose their mind on the knee-jerk reaction that they should just seed them by record in the top 7 and not by division and blah, blah, blah. So that's something that's, that happened this year in the NFC South. That division sucks, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. So I'm not really worried about changing format when something happens like that for a year. I don't know if you are. I don't know if you think they should.
Nah.
Yeah.
I like how things are. I mean, yeah. I liked the playoff format before they changed it the last time. I liked the 2-team bye thing, but
right.
This is fine. It's fine. It's all fine. Whatever. It's not that big of a change, so it's okay. But
I completely agree.
Whatever. If we're gonna talk about things changing and rules changing, obviously college football is the sport in which that's happening constantly. So, like you said, we're going to talk briefly about the Gator Bowl. There's also, I mean, we did more of like a bowl preview last week. There's been a handful of games. Some of them have been awesome. I've certainly enjoyed it. I think as we are recording this, there is a game about to kick off on ESPN, so I'm going to go watch that. But Drew Pine announced he's transferring to Arizona State.
How about that? Arizona State. Well,
quite a change.
Definitely quite a change. Boy, that's
he's going to be in your neck of the woods now, Mike.
Yes, he is. He will enjoy himself in Arizona State, that's for sure. But that was kind of quick, But I guess slots will start to close up. So
yeah, exactly.
It's a new world how this portal works, and there's so many players that are in it, and we know Notre Dame is going to be looking for a quarterback. So let's see who they end up getting as quarterback, because in this game, obviously, Drew Pine, who played the whole year because Tyler Buckner was hurt. Looks like Buckner's back. The freshman Angeli, I don't know if he'll get any time. Did you hear the latest the rule change for this bowl season? Normally, players can play in 4 games, up to 4 games, and it doesn't count for the year. And a lot of teams use the bowl game as one of those games. Now you could play a youngster in the bowl and it doesn't count as a game against them. So
I think that's great. I think that's another way, though, that like this bowl season in general is becoming more of like a spring practice type thing than a part of your season or like a cap on your season, which I think is fine. If the rules are going to change, then like there are ways to make things still fun to watch and exciting, and maybe it requires some tweaks here and there, but why not? I mean, it doesn't hurt anyone. It's certainly more player friendly that way. There's also now, with the early signing period, I believe will be the day that this comes out. So there's a lot of movement with recruits and all that. And Notre Dame's got I think right now they're set to have the highest ranked class in a decade at Notre Dame, which is pretty exciting. But the Gator Bowl is coming up. Mike, you will be at the game.
Yes.
You are feeling what about Notre Dame's odds of winning?
Again, I will always say, because it's so tough. Again, the guy who's been playing quarterback all year, so at least you would have had the continuity of Drew Pine played, is not. You're getting a guy playing who hasn't played all year. You're missing your best defensive player in Isaiah Foskey, who set the Notre Dame record for career sacks. He beat Justin Tuck out. And Michael Mayer, the best player on the team and one of the best players in the country, who broke every tight end record at tight end U at Notre Dame, not playing in this game. So, and South Carolina the same way. They have a few players not playing in this game. So I'm going to tell you what I'm looking forward to watching and what people should look forward to watch. Sometimes when there's a special team play, people will use that chance to go grab a drink or go to the bathroom. In this game, do not. Notre Dame has blocked 7 punts this year, and you say the name Beamer. Shane Beamer is the head coach of South Carolina. Obviously, the son of one of the greats, and Frank Beamer of all time, who was known for special teams. Great special teams play, blocks of special team kicks. So you have two teams that get after it in special teams, and that's where this game could be decided, on a big special team play, quite honestly.
I've been thinking all season about like how fun it's been to watch Notre Dame block other teams' punts, and then like how pissed I would be if it happened to Notre Dame.
Yep.
And now it's like almost as if you're suggesting that might come back to bite them in this game because Shane Beamer's got this great special teams background, and I don't know if I like that, Mike. I don't think I like that at all.
I'm sorry. You know what I am, though? I am reality. This is reality of the situation. Is they are very, very good special teams. Again, that's a Beamer trait. So and Notre Dame, as I said, blocked 7. And I asked, Mike and I emceed the banquet this past week, the Notre Dame Echoes, the awards banquet. The record for block kicks, I believe, was in the 60s. Arkansas State, I think it was 11 blocked punts.
That's so many.
Which is absurd. 7 is crazy that we have now.
Yeah.
11 is I believe, the record. And if I remember correctly, I think it was in the 60s, and I think it was Arkansas State, which is unbelievable.
That makes me wonder. I mean, obviously, football was played a little bit differently back then, style-wise, and the players were, a little bit smaller.
Whatever.
I'm not talking about your, like, I'm saying before you played in college. It makes me wonder if that team had like one really fast guy and just like blew the doors off of every punter on every other team, and they didn't have game tape back then, at least not the same way we do, and they just did this in every game and no one knew it was coming. I don't know, Mike. I'm just
I think at that point, Jess, it was cool how when the teams were announced, they ran out of their caves dragging their knuckles. I thought it was very, very cool, back then.
I'm just saying, I could see how a record like that, for a weird statistic, would have happened like in the 70s or earlier, because the game was just like, I mean, same with, running back records. You'd expect to see some of those weird things before they invented the forward pass, like when you were in college, but I digress.
There are times, Jess, when I dislike you like I dislike Sydney, who you're the same age as, who's my daughter, of just your brash dislike of olden times?
No, that's not true.
Oh, isn't it? Isn't it?
I don't think so. I think you just don't have a sense of humor. People your age, Mike, they don't have a sense of humor anymore. Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Mike, this is what I need you to do. I need you to go log into Instagram or tell Sydney to do it because I know she runs all your social media accounts.
True.
And go like the egg picture. And that's the only Christmas present I want this year is for you to go like the egg.
So if I were to ask Sydney, Mike, Jake, Jenny, my daughter-in-law, Ben, my son-in-law, because they're all in the age range of 28 to 33. If I were to ask them about this egg, would they all know what I'm talking about?
I'm guessing that they've probably all liked the world record egg picture. In fact, I'm going to go look right now and see if any Golics have liked this picture. Oh,
when
no.
All those people liked it, how can you tell if my kids liked it?
I can search the likes. I don't see any Golics, though. I searched the name Golic and nothing
You know
came
what?
up.
If they didn't, I am going to pat each one of my kid on the back for being socially responsible enough not to like that stupid-ass picture.
Wow, I don't think any of them have liked the egg.
Good. I love my kids again.
This is
There
ridiculous.
are days I don't. And for those that say they love all their kids the same, that's bullshit. I rank my kids every day. And, 1 through 3.
Okay, well, then they're all tied because I don't think any of them have liked the egg picture. And
Then
that's
they're all tied
shocking.
for number 1 because I'm very proud of them for not liking that. And I hope they feel it was as dumb as I think it's dumb. That would benefit my generation then, wouldn't it? Because now these would be people in your generation who think it's dumb as well.
I'm scrolling through a list of people that I follow who liked the egg, though. And, honestly, I'm just saying your kids are the outliers because every person that I recognize every single name. Every person that I follow has liked this picture except your kids. So maybe your kids just aren't cool.
Why?
TJ Watt liked the egg picture.
I would have more respect for somebody to look at that picture and say, this is nothing but a most liked picture of all time grab. That's what this is, and I refuse to be a part of it. I would respect people more for just scrolling on by and saying, you know what? I'm not going to be a part of your bullshit. How about that?
If you don't want to be part of the egg, I don't want to be part of you. So
Wow.
Merry Christmas
Wow.
and Happy New Year because I don't know if this is going to last the long holiday break.
Well, listen, I think and one other thing, I mean, my birthday has passed and there was nothing ever in the mail from you either. So I
know I didn't send you cookies.
We're going in different directions here.
It's on my to-do list. Maybe you'll get them over Christmas. I was planning on it. I just never got around to it.
Well, I appreciate you planning it. That's great.
Yes, it's the thought that counts, right? That's what everyone says.
Oh,
about
yeah, that's it. I'd rather be chewing something, okay?
All right.
All right.
You sound like one of your pugs.
Yeah, I know. That's true. I'm looking out into the courtyard at my lovely pugs right now. I think one of them just pooped, though. Yeah.
Well, take a picture of that and post it. We'll see if it gets 57 million
I'm going to
likes.
try and get that dog poop over 57 million likes. So how many likes does the Messi Instagram
right now,
picture?
it has 64.9 million,
Oh, wow.
I think.
So it blew it out of the water, the stupid egg
Yeah.
picture. Good for them. That's
All right.
good.
That's
All right.
enough.
That's good. All right, Jess. You have a wonderful holiday.
No, you too.
You mean that?
I do. I kind of mean it.
This may not last.